Live from Nashville, Tennessee, it's the Three. With the Studio C Band. And here's your host, Laura Harris-Smith.
Hi everybody, I'm Laura Harris-Smith and welcome to The Three. We are continuing a sermon from last week called The Gospel of Interruptions, but first I want to remind you to go to lauraharrissmith.com and register to come see me in Florida. I'm going to be in Bradenton, Florida, down in the Sarasota area, and I'm going to be at the Gulf Coast School of Supernatural Ministry. It's a free event, guys, but seating is very limited. I'm not just saying that, it really is. So it's, again, October 8th. It's a Friday night, 6:30 p.m., and then I'm going to be there a couple of days later for their Sunday morning service. Hope International Ministries there. There's a church, and I will be there at their 10 a.m. service. So I hope that you will come. It's a free event, but you have to register. So go to lauraharrissmith.com and click there on the link that you see to get registered. All right, I'm looking forward to meeting you. Want to get some interviews down there, and I might even put you on the Three. So without further ado, here is part 2 of the Gospel of Interruptions.
Jesus was often so interrupted. I'm going to be referring to him a lot today, but Jesus was so often interrupted that even his interruptions were interrupted, as we've already established today. So he was teaching in a house, and all of a sudden he's interrupted. The ceiling starts falling in, and these people are lowering down a guy on a mat. You know, it gets interrupted there. I mean, if that happened during a sermon, I get frustrated when the birds start chirping over here, and I'm trying to smile and work it in somehow. Or somebody's cell phone goes off. That happens, you know, it just happens. It's life. We've all done it. And you try to just deal with that interruption. But literally the roof and a guy being lowered down, so that was one interruption. He was interrupted when he slept. Oh, I hate that one. He was interrupted when he was just in the boat. So he was trying to sleep, right? And the disciples were so convinced they were going to die with Jesus in the boat. I'm sorry, I think I would have enough faith to know that if Jesus was in the boat, like he had a real serious purpose on this earth. If he's in the boat, I'm good. It was a guy that used to get, with Jesse Duplantis, he would get on the planes and say, every time he boarded a plane, he would say, everybody, attention, there are prophecies yet unfulfilled in my life. You're all safe. But it didn't work with the disciples. They got scared. Jesus had to wake up. He had to calm them all down. You know the whole story there. He had to calm their fears down. It was quite an event. Lots more that happened that day in the boat. He was interrupted when he was eating. He was dining with the Pharisees. And a prostitute runs in and like sucks up all the oxygen in the room. You know, and he was interrupted then. What did he do? He was kind. Jesus had like the highest emotional IQ ever. I thought it was maybe Donovan or Brooks, but no. It's Jesus. He knew exactly why she was there, and he didn't mind the interruption. Even though, think about it, it probably was not really good for his reputation. So, but he didn't care. He cared more about her. And he was an interrupter. I could tell you all the stories about, you know, how he was traveling. I can't remember where he was traveling toward, but he was interrupted with the news about the little girl that was sick. And, you know, he was interrupted so many times he got there and she died. They were like, too late. Sorry, Jesus, too late. If you ever tell Jesus it's too late, you're in deep water. That's dangerous water. It's never too late for Jesus. So he shows up and he has to even then interrupt the mood of mourning in the house, and he puts everybody out of the house. It's wailing and mourning. Wouldn't you cry if your daughter was mourning or dying? But she was dead. He puts everybody out, and then he raises her. So Jesus also interrupts death. It's the Gospel of Interruption. So I decided to look through the entire Bible. I was like, Jesus cannot be the only one, and I can't be the only other one. Like, I feel like I'm interrupted all the time, but that's because you can always go to my desktop and find a file, my organized desktop, that says to do. Right now it says summer 2021 to do. And I'm so excited because it is, for the last 2 weeks, it's been a 2-page, not just single spaced, but 2 columns list. And I'm down to like the last 12 things. I'm so excited. So, do you get it? I love my lists. I have my plan every day. If I do something that's not on the list, I'm going to type it on the list so that I can mark it off. That's me. So I'm not telling you guys anything today or asking you to do something that I'm not willing to do myself or haven't had to do myself. Sometimes we just have to be willing to be interrupted. So I got to thinking about all the stories in the Bible. And I don't know, I can't remember what it was that I researched exactly as I was typing in some key phrases and whatever. If you type in stories in the Bible, like the whole thing's going to come up. So somehow I made my way through the Bible, and I looked and made notes, pages of notes of all the different stories in the Bible. And by my best math, I'm going to say that over 90% of the Bible is the result of an interruption. It was either that God, think about it, he's calling somebody, he calls them into ministry, that's an interruption. Or he interrupts something they're doing with a vision. Or he interrupts their sleep with a dream. Or he interrupts and says, get up and move to another country. Whatever it is, there's all these interruptions, and the best Bible stories you quote and the very people, the characters you want to meet when you get to heaven, they were interrupted. They were interrupted. Proverbs 16:9 say, the mind of a person plans his way, but the Lord directs his step. Mercy. He does. That's just the way it works. It's not and, it's but. The man plans, so go ahead and plan, find a plan, but the Lord directs the actual steps. So that's what we're talking about today, the Gospel of Interruptions. And in this very intrusive book, I don't know what day it interrupted your life and intersected with your life, but I believe you'll find that your journey is full of wonderful opportunities to repackage these interruptions.
So true. All right, we'll be back with more right after the break.
Neuromatics Oil is a family of therapeutic-grade patented oil blends created by nutritionist and author Laura Harris Smith. Invented for her own lifelong journey for neurological health, Quiet Brain now helps those worldwide who suffer from insomnia, migraines, anxiety, seizures, tremors, and more. Quiet Brain contains oils like frankincense, myrrh, lavender, sandalwood, and others. Next, Happy Brain is a bright mood-lifting citrus blend and contains oils like lemon, lime, clementine, spearmint, and more. Users say it combats depression and even aids in weight loss. Next is Sharp Brain, Laura's Focus Blend, also used to improve cognitive memory issues with oils like coffee, cinnamon, vanilla, clove, and others. Each $69.95 bottle is a 10-week supply if used daily, or about $1 a day. And right now, buy 2 bottles and get the third one free, and get a free eye mask using the promo code on your screen at neuromaticsoil.com or at 1-855-784-3827. That's 1-855-QUIET-BRAIN.
Welcome back for the break, everybody. I'm Laura. You're watching The Three, and we're continuing on with the Gospel of Interruptions. Take a look.
Okay, in Genesis 23, it says, so when Joseph came, verse 23, Joseph came to his brothers. They stripped him of his robe, the ornate robe he was wearing. Verse 24, and they took him and threw him into the pit. The pit was empty and there was no water in it. As they sat down to eat their meal, they looked up and saw a caravan of Ishmaelites coming from Gilead. Does that sound familiar? Back when Abraham was told he was going to be the father of many nations, he got ahead of God. He took a bondwoman, had a child with her, Ishmael. Okay, so Ishmael and Isaac started their fight then. It continued on into the generations, and you can still turn on the news every night and see Ishmael and Isaac fighting. Still, today, in the Middle East. So here it starts. They throw him into a pit. The Ishmaelites pass by. Oh, we'll sell him to them. So Judah goes into this whole plan. Well, let's don't kill him. Let's sell him. He's trying to save his life, which I think is interesting then that the lineage then came through Judah for Jesus. Yeah. So the Midianite merchants, they pulled him up out of the pit and they sold him into slavery. Is that not an interruption? One day you got on a coat of many colors. The next day you're in a pit like that. And it didn't get any better. The story didn't get any better. He winds up going into being sold into slavery, into Potiphar's house. Then he had 3 P's. He went from the pit. He had 4 P's. He went from the pit to Potiphar's house. Then he got accused of something wrong and went into prison. And then there he interpreted a dream, was forgotten for a couple of years, and then was called before Pharaoh. That's the 4th P. And so his life was one interruption after the next. And he knew he was special. His father had told him he was special. He'd made him a coat of many colors. The Lord had given him dreams about the sun and stars bowing down to him, representing his family, and that did come to pass. Do you understand that had all of that not happened, he would not have been second in command. He would not have been, this dream interpreter became the one who prepared Israel for Egypt for the famine. And when the famine was so widespread it reached Israel, his family couldn't eat, and there they were being brought before him, bowing down to him, please can we have food? His dreams were fulfilled. He chose forgiveness. I love every part of this. Oh, I cannot wait to meet Joseph is one of those in heaven. I just can't wait to meet. Because his story, he's just this, little dreamer. He winds up saving a nation, one interruption at a time. The anointing of David with sheep. Now, this is later in the biblical timeline of history, so we have an actual picture of Samuel anointing David here. Yeah. Actually, I think that's Richard Gere in the David movie. I love that movie. He arrived at Bethlehem. The elders of the town trembled when they met him. They asked, do you come in peace? He said, yes, I come in peace. I have come to sacrifice to the Lord. Consecrate yourselves and come to the sacrifice with me. And he gets to Jesse's house. Sees all his sons. He'd invited them all to the sacrifice. There's a slew of sons here, okay? And it says that when they arrived, Samuel saw Eliab and thought, surely the Lord's anointed stands here before the Lord. But the Lord said to Samuel, do not consider his appearance or his height, for I have rejected him. The Lord does not look at the things people look at. People look at the outward appearance, but the Lord looks at the heart. Then Jesse called Abinadab and had him pass in front of Samuel. But Samuel said, the Lord has not chosen this one either. Jesse then had Shammah pass by, but Samuel said, the Lord has not chosen this one. He had 7 of his sons pass before Samuel. And Samuel said to him, the Lord has not chosen any of these. So he asked Jesse, I love this, are these all the sons you have? Okay, so if you had all these sons, would you ask that? He knew it. He knew in his knower, this is not the one yet. So he said, well, they're still the youngest. He's out tending the sheep. So one of the most important interruptions in Scripture happens. And Samuel says, send for him. We will not sit down until he arrives. That's when you're so sure that God has sent you someplace that well, if he's the only one left, this must be it. And I love this. He sent for him. He had him brought in. He was glowing with health and had a fine appearance and handsome features like all of those young men at Eastgate Creative Christian Fellowship. Then the Lord said, rise and anoint him. He is the one, the Lord said. So Samuel took the horn of oil, anointed him in the presence of his brothers, and from that day on, the Spirit of the Lord came powerfully upon David. Samuel then went to Ramah. How many years? You all know how many years it was between this event and when David actually got the crown? Who knows? 17. There were so many interruptions in between this and him finally taking the throne. He was running from his life, hiding in caves, writing most of the Psalms you love. That's what he did with his interruptions. So, hey, all you creatives out there, you need to turn every one of your interruptions into songs. You can make money off them now. He didn't really make money off of them now back then, but he is renowned for being one of the greatest psalmists, I think. The Shunammite woman on the road. I love this in 2 Kings 4:18. When the child was older, he went out one day to his father among the reapers. Now, this was a woman who had prepared a place for Elisha whenever he passed by. And he just, one day she was like, I've never had a child, I want a child. So he prays for her, she receives a child. I'm skipping forward in this story. When the child was older, verse 18, he went out one day to his father among the reapers. He complained to his father, "Oh, my head, my head." The father said to his servant, "Carry him to his mother." He carried him and brought him to his mother. The child sat on her lap until noon and then died. That was fast. She went up and laid him on the bed of the man of God, closed the door on him and left. Then she called to her husband and said, "Send me one of the servants and one of the donkeys so that I may quickly go to the man of God and come back again." He said, "Why go to him today? It is neither new moon nor Sabbath." She said, "It will be all right." Then she saddled the donkey and said to her servant, "Urge the animal on. Do not hold back for me unless I tell you." So she set out and came to the man of God at Mount Carmel. I love this interruption. When the man of God saw her coming, he said to Gehazi, his servant, "Look, there is the Shunammite woman. Run at once to meet her and say to her, 'Are you all right? Is your husband all right? Is the child all right?'" Then you know what she answered? "It's all right." One translation says, "It is well." It's probably where we get the song, "It is well with my soul." When she came to the man of God at the mountain, she caught hold of his feet. Gehazi approached to push her away, but the man of God said, "Let her alone, for she is in bitter distress. The Lord has hidden it from me and has not told me." And she said, "Did I ask my Lord for a son? Did I not say, 'Do not mislead me'?" He said to Gehazi, "Gird up your loins and take my staff in your hand and go." It's like he just knew. "If you meet anyone, give no greeting." He gives him the whole district. "Hurry, get there." So Gehazi runs ahead. He does everything that he had told him to do. But he came back to meet Elisha. So here's again. Elisha's interrupted again. It didn't work. The boy did not awaken. So Elisha then himself comes into the house, saw the child lying dead on his bed, went in, closed the door on the two of them, prayed to the Lord, then got up on the bed, laid on the child, put his mouth upon his mouth, his eyes upon his eyes, his hands upon his hands, and while he lay bent over him, the flesh of the child became warm. He got down, walked once to and fro in the room, then got up again, bent over him. The child sneezed 7 times, and the Lord opened his eyes. "Call the Shunammite woman," he said. "Take your son." She fell at his feet, bowing to the ground, then took her son and left. So again, an interruption. We don't even know where Elisha was on his way to. Something really important. Someone was really inconvenienced that he wasn't there on time. But look at this story. I love it. Jonah, this guy was interrupted so many times, but in his defense, God says to him in chapter 1, verse 1, "The word of the Lord came to Jonah, son of Amittai, saying, 'Go to the great city of Nineveh and preach against it, because its wickedness has come up before me.' But Jonah ran away." So first of all, there's the interruption of the call, right? And then Jonah's like, "Nope, sorry." And he runs the other way. Went down to Joppa, found a ship bound for that port. After paying the fare, he went on board, sailed for Tarshish to flee from the Lord. Okay, so he wasn't the sharpest tool in the toolbox, because you cannot flee from the Lord. The Lord sent a great wind on the sea. Such a violent storm arose that the ship threatened to break up. And then the story goes, he finally repents. He's like, "Oh my goodness, I should have gone to Nineveh. I know how this is going to turn out, but I got to obey God." And he says, "Throw me over ship." So they throw him over ship, over the boat, out of the boat, and waters become calm. Has that ever happened in your life? Somebody exits your life and you're finally like, peace again. And the Lord sometimes will do that. And in this case, Jonah knew immediately that he was the problem. And so he's in the water, and here comes the whale. The whale was not his destruction. The whale was his salvation. So another interruption. God uses the fish of the sea to now interrupt Jonah's story and get him back on track. I love this. And we always thought we'd have another little J child, another little boy, and we were going to name him Jonah because I absolutely just loved that. Oh, my God. Okay, stop. Yes, I'm the woman who would keep having babies and forget where she puts them because I just love babies. I just love all these babies being born here now. I love seeing them at the altar. I love seeing them on their mamas. I love seeing them in the cry room. I love hearing them. Listen, guys, we are in an exciting time right now. If you'll live with your eyes wide open, God's doing amazing things right here at our church. Esther, same thing. Instead of reading this, you know the story. According to VeggieTales, Queen Vashti wouldn't make the king a sandwich, and so he throws her out and gets another queen. And he's the same thing. Go get beautiful, girls and get me a virgin and make sure she's chaste and all of that, and then bring them to it. So I am going to read this part because I love this. It says that Esther gained favor with him, and it said that before a girl's turn came to go to King Xerxes, she had to complete 12 months of beauty treatments prescribed for the women, 6 months with oil, and 6 with perfumes and cosmetics. So this was a job I would have loved, this part. 12 months of beauty treatments. But then you belonged to somebody else who neither feared God nor man. And her life was interrupted forever. And then she was used to interrupt the enemy's plans. So we can't ever feel sorry for ourselves. You know why I chose this picture of her? It wasn't the typical picture you see of Esther with, beautiful, and she's looking like she's just so comfortable where she is and in her own skin, and like they've got her before, the king in the palace. No, she looks lost here. She looks like, why am I here? I chose this picture. I studied all these different pictures, and I chose this one because she looks like her life has been interrupted, like she does not want to be there. So just so you'll know, this is what interruption looks like before you make history. Okay?
Okay, one segment to go. Come back after the break for the continuation of the Gospel of Interruption.
Neuromatics Oil is a family of therapeutic-grade patented oil blends created by nutritionist and author Laura Harris Smith. Invented for her own lifelong journey for neurological health, Quiet Brain now helps those worldwide who suffer from insomnia, migraines, anxiety, seizures, tremors, and more. Quiet Brain contains oils like frankincense, myrrh, lavender, sandalwood, and others. Next, Happy Brain is a bright mood-lifting citrus blend and contains oils like lemon, lime, clementine, spearmint, and more. Users say it combats depression and even aids in weight loss. Next is Sharp Brain, Laura's Focus Blend, also used to improve cognitive memory issues with oils like coffee, cinnamon, vanilla, clove, and others. Each $69.95 bottle is a 10-week supply if used daily, or about $1 a day. And right now, buy 2 bottles and get the third one free, and get a free eye mask using the promo code on your screen at neuromaticsoil.com or at 1-855-784-3827. That's 1-855-QUIET-BRAIN.
Hi, everybody. Thanks for watching The Three. Please become a part of The Three's family. Visit the link on your screen to give a tax-deductible gift and help me purchase airtime that takes this fun, relevant, faith-based show to a faithless world. Some TV ministries would then call you a donor or a partner, but I'm going to call you family. Go to the link and become a part of my TV family today. I can't do it without you. Thanks. Welcome back, everybody. All right, it's time for the conclusion of the sermon. Here is the final part of the Gospel of Interruptions.
This is when Jesus said, "You are fishers of men." He called the disciples. This is in Matthew 4, verse 18. He was walking beside the Sea of Galilee. He saw 2 brothers, Simon called Peter and his brother Andrew. They were casting a net into the lake, for they were fishermen. And he said, "Come follow me," Jesus said, "and I will send you out to fish for people." And at once they left their nets and followed him. Come on, would you do that? Would you be like, all right, I'm done with this job. Let's go do something else that I don't even know you're describing what you mean. I don't know what you mean. Let's go do it. No, you wouldn't. These people were profoundly full of faith. So if you are full of faith, which is what revival is, you're so full of faith that you can't say no to any little thing God tells you to do, then you will follow him. You will follow Jesus wherever he says to go. I think I was 9 or 10 years old. I was staying in Atlanta, Georgia, at my cousin's house, and they had a piano. We had one at our house, but I guess when you're on vacation, you just, I was taking piano lessons, but I was doing everything by the book at home, and here I was in Atlanta without my books, and so I sat down and I wrote my very first song. And it was about this. It was called Follow Me. And I can only remember the chorus, and I'm not going to sing it. But it was just a really simple little song. This is such a profound moment that even it impacted a 9-year-old. Like, these people just left everything because Jesus said, follow me. So I hope that really is as impacting to you. Because if you will live your life that way, it will change it. He will never take you anywhere bad. I guarantee you. And we've described 15 pretty scary circumstances after he interrupted these people's lives. But now look. We're all naming our kids after these people still. They're so impacting on our story and on the world story, really. So I want you to stand up with me. Stand up for me. And I want you to say this with me. God cares more about my character than the clock. So what are we left with? We're really left with giving thanks. We have to give thanks in all things, and that's my closing scripture. 1 Thessalonians 5:18. Give thanks in all things, for this is God's will for you in Christ Jesus. C.S. Lewis said, the great thing, if one can, is to stop regarding all the unpleasant things as interruptions of one's own or real life. The truth is, of course, that what one calls the interruptions are precisely one's real life. The life God is sending one day by day. What one calls one's real life is a phantom of one's own imagination. In other words, embrace the interruptions. They are the ministry to what you are called. The interruptions are your ministry. So if a book was written of your life, what would make the book? I think the interruptions would make the book. So I think with this information, we will all sigh a little less, moan and groan a little less. We will trust a little more, praise a little louder, and know that God is actually the one who is in control of our time, of our clock. Did you know that the biblical New Year is coming early this year? So get ready for that. It's actually September 6th. Is our Rosh Hashanah service.
Yes, it's the new biblical year. Well, I hope you enjoyed the Gospel of Interruptions. It was a joy to bring to you, and I'd love to hear from you and see how you liked it. Write me at laura@the3.tv, but most importantly, go to lauraharrissmith.com and get registered to come to Bradenton, Florida and see me October 8th, okay? You got to do it. Seating is limited. All right, everybody, good to be with you, and I will see you next time on The 3.